folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here, Lost Patrol. This is a brand new game from Games Workshop that comes with 12 Genestealers and a scout squad of 5 models, a few dice and a bunch of tiles. And it's kind of a tile-laying 2-player game where the scouts are trying to find their dropship and get off the planet while the Genestealers are trying to, of course, eradicate the scout scourge from their planet. So let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works. Each round of a game of Lost Patrol takes place with the scouts going first and carrying out all of their actions. Each scout model has 2 actions that they can perform, and once all 5 of those scout models have performed their actions, then the Genestealers take their turn. So each scout has 2 actions, and each action can either be to move or fire. So each person can take movement. That's 1 action, that's 2 actions. Or they can fire within their line of sight. For example, all of these guys have line of sight all the way to this, and then they have all the way to this, and all the way to here. And they can fire if there were any Genestealers in their line of sight. So let's go ahead and just simulate the first action, or the first round of what the Scouts player might do. So we're going to have one guy go out here. The first thing that has to happen on the Genestealer's turn is simply that they have to check to see if any of the jungle tiles are removed from the board. Now, line of sight is not the only determining factor. If a scout were hypothetically able to move 2 tiles and still not see a tile, that tile would be removed. It sounds difficult, it really isn't. I'll explain more of that later on. The next thing that they would be able to do, or that they would have to do, is add any tiles to the board that needed to be added. So for example, all of these places where there is a Marine that can see down these paths, that is then added. So we start here, and we have a tile that moves off in like this. Then this one right here, well, that didn't help the Marines much at all, now did it? And then over here, we have a straight, which then must be added to because he can still see line of sight to what's over here. Not a good opening of tiles for the Marines, because now this and this is all the same path. So their only viable course to find the dropship is over here, and over here, and over there. After those tiles are placed, then the Genestealer can take actions. The Genestealer player has 3 actions, and those 3 actions can be to place Genestealers onto the end of a path, to move Genestealers, or to place an infestation token on a tile that already has a Genestealer present. Now, placing a new Genestealer at the end of a path has to be on one of the tiles where the path goes off into a mystery. We don't know what it is, but it cannot be a tile that is a dead end, like this one right here. We're going to go ahead and place 1. We get 3 actions, so we're going to place 3 Genestealers, which is the maximum number of Genestealers that can occupy a hex. And now an assault phase happens, where the Genestealers are able to assault the Marines. So here we have Genestealers going to assault this Marine that is alone right now. So on an assault, the Genestealers have an assault power of 2 per model. So here the Genestealers have a assault power of 6, and the Marines simply have a die roll. Now normally, since a Marine is alone, he's going to suffer a -1 penalty to his die roll, but because the heavy gunner is within line of sight of his hex, he can provide covering fire, which gives him a +1, so he's actually still just a general dice roll. So these guys have a power of 6. He has to roll a 6 just to force a draw, and he does not. So having rolled a 2, this guy does not have enough power, so he is defeated, and the Genestealers take the ground. So the first thing is remove tiles. If he were to move 2 here, he would not have line of sight over here, so all of this goes away. He would still have line of sight for all of those different things, so those remain. And now tiles get added. So right here is the only one that gets added. So we have a straightaway and a curve. And the Genestealers are going to have 1, 2 placements. Then we're going to move and then assault. Now, this is a 2-4 group, so they have an assault of 4. These guys have a die roll +1. This is a success, so 1 gets removed, and that's the end of the assault. So now it becomes the Marine's turn. The heavy gunner here is going to roll his 2 dice, trying to get a 6, and he gets 1, so he is removed. So that's 1 of his. He'll take his other and move there. These 2 guys both have 2 actions left, so they're going to move out here, like so. And that will be the end of the turn. And this is how the game would continue until one scout has reached the dropship tile and ends his turn there, or all of the scouts are dead. If all the scouts die, of course, the Genestealers win. If the scouts, at least one scout makes it to the dropship, then the scouts win. So that's how you play Lost Patrol. Now I have to say that the models that GW comes up with are still, they're stellar. I like the fact that they are not gray models. The scouts are red and the Genestealers are purple, so that you don't necessarily have to paint them if you do not want to, in order to provide the differentiation. But if you have trouble differentiating between a Space Marine scout and a Genestealer, you need to get your eyes checked. You're getting about $70 worth of models from GW in this box. The game runs $60, so therein and of itself, I think there's a slight problem, and I'm being kind there, because even though you're getting $70 worth of models for MSRP of $60, which to a miniature gamer's mind would be, hey, bonus, that's a discount. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the game, get my models, and whether I play the game or not, I really don't care. I'm just going to use the models for my armies. I understand that. That's a good selling point from GW's perspective. However, from a board gamer's perspective, what you get inside this box is simply not worth $60. There is not $60 worth of game here to warrant a purchase from a board gamer's perspective. From a miniatures gamer's perspective, probably so. And I'm sure this is probably the market that they're going to. Some type of bridge or gap filling that's going on here between miniature gaming and board gaming. The game is actually not that bad. It's just not a $60 game by my estimation. I think it has a good back and forth with a 2-player game. There is a definite strategical depth that this game has. I have yet to see the Marines win. They came close to winning once, but it was, again, it didn't happen. It's really hard for the scouts to win. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it is incredibly hard for the scouts to win. I think the Genestealers definitely have a leg up on the Space Marine scouts. They have numbers, they have mobility because they don't have to stick to the paths. When they move, they can jump across the jungle barriers to move through the tiles. I would rather have had it be a little bit more balanced while still having asymmetrical powers on each side. Have it more balanced, I think, would have been a better. Maybe if it's just hitting on 5s and 6s instead of just 6s, or something to that effect. I don't know. I'm not good at all of that kind of stuff. It just seems very imbalanced. Maybe that's what they were shooting for. Maybe it just kind of happened that way. I don't know. But the game itself is not bad. it is just not $60 good. All the models still come on sprues, so you will have to put the models together. And from that perspective, the Space Marines Scouts were not difficult to put together. However, the Genestealers were very difficult to put together. The different arms that you have to put 4 arms on each of the Genestealer models, and they just were not gluing into those sockets as well as I would have liked them to. Much more difficult than the Space Marine Scouts. I wish that they would start coming up with some kind of pre-assembled, maybe if it's a injection mold, I don't know what they're going to do, but something that does not have sprues, that so that you don't have to take so much time to put the models together. Now, I enjoy modeling, I really do, but getting these games to the table takes much longer than a game that just comes with the pieces already manufactured and made and ready to play. As a reviewer, not as a hobby modeler, but as a reviewer, it's very frustrating to get a game in the mail that I have to put together. Now, I will do so because I enjoy doing it, but it just throws the time off. I've received 2 other games from Games Workshop that had about 3 times the number of models than this game has in both boxes, and I just haven't been able to get them to the table yet because I'm having trouble finding the time putting those things together. I just wish some type of happy medium could be struck between sprues and the kind of stuff that like Cool Mini or Not is doing, because I do enjoy how detailed and how well the sculpts are for the GW puts out, but they just take so long to put together because there's so many of them in the box, and while that's a good thing, it's very difficult as a reviewer to get it to the table. So that's, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a peek behind the scenes, but at least they're taking a little bit of a step in the right direction. They don't have as many models in this box, and the game does not cost as much as those other games do. So I'm perceiving a step in the right direction, but I think they still have a ways to go. But as far as Lost Patrol is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and give it 1 thumb up because the people that I played it with did enjoy it for the 2-player thing that it is. So I'll give it 1 thumb up because it does have some fun factor to it, but all in all, I think it could have been a lot better, and hopefully in the future we will see a lot better from GW. See you on the flip side, folks.